Alright, the second beta test for Arknights Endfield is finally here, and at this point, we're not really asking when anymore. With the release date officially locked in for January 22nd, 2026, it feels like everything from now on is about discovering what the game really has to offer. Any early info we can get our hands on is exciting, and of course, that means taking a closer look at the operators and how they're shaping up so far. Now, before we jump in, quick reminder, this is still a beta test. Things can and probably will change before launch, so nothing here is set in stone. That said, we've spent some time breaking down operator kits, roles, and overall performance to see who's standing out right now. So let's talk about what works, what feels a bit rough, and how the operators currently stack up in our Arknights Endfield operator tier list. Let's get into it. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking operators in Arknights Endfield. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The operators in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Alesh, Deepan, Chen Qianyu, Iyasa, Chinachenyu, Akakuri, and Estella. Right about now, we are stepping into that slightly awkward but very honest part of the tier list. The operators who are good, sometimes great, but just a bit too situational to dominate every fight. Welcome to the B tier of Arknights Endfield, where smart team building can turn okay into actually kind of cracked. Alesh is that cryo hybrid vanguard who refuses to stay in a single lane. On paper, he looks like a physical damage dealer, but in practice, he is constantly juggling team support, cryo infliction, and something called solidification. His skill is clever. If the enemy already has cryo infliction, he locks them down with solidification, and if not, he applies cryo infliction first. Either way, it works in an area of effect, restores skill points, and quietly makes your whole team happier. His combo leans into that utility playstyle by dealing extra physical damage whenever an Art's Infliction or Enmin's Originium Crystal is consumed, refunding skill points and occasionally handing him a huge damage buff, assuming the random number gods are in a good mood. His ultimate is where Alesh decides to be dramatic. A massive cryo damage blast hits a wide area, applies cryo infliction again, restores skill points, and gives him even more skill points for every enemy defeated. His talents push this loop even harder. Faster ultimate energy whenever solidification or Enmin's Originium appears, and doubled effects if he personally applies solidification. The second talent boosts the chance of that juicy combo damage buff, scaling with his intellect up to 30%. He works best alongside the End Administrator, but keep in mind, Alesh is powerful, just slightly unpredictable, like a support unit who sometimes wakes up and chooses violence. Deepan is a panda, and yes, he really does beat enemies up like he is preparing dinner. As a physical striker, his basic attack chain ends with a final strike that slams enemies with a serious amount of stagger. His skill lifts enemies off the ground, setting them up for pain, and his combo activates once the enemy reaches 4 stacks of vulnerable. When that happens, Deepan unleashes massive physical damage and applies an upgraded version of the Crush debuff. In simple terms, if the enemy looks fragile, Deepan takes it personally. His ultimate is pure spectacle. Every enemy in range gets lifted, sliced apart with a 6-move combo, and then slammed back down with knockdown for huge physical damage. Talent-wise, he scales beautifully with vulnerable stacks, gaining 6% more physical damage per stack on affected enemies. His second talent gives him a prep ingredients buff after his ultimate knocks enemies down, letting him shorten his next combo cooldown by 40%, but only once per buff. Pair him with other physical operators like Pogranichnik, and suddenly this panda goes from cute mascot to 5-star chef of destruction. Chen Qianyu does not overcomplicate things, and honestly, that is kind of refreshing. She is a physical damage guard whose entire purpose is to hit enemies a lot and hit them hard. Her skill and combo both apply lift, and her combo even splashes that effect across multiple enemies. Lift rapidly fills the stagger bar, which means enemies spend more time helpless and less time fighting back. Always a win. Her ultimate is a multi-hit physical damage barrage that turns stunned enemies into training dummies. Talent-wise, she gains a stackable attack boost every time she hits something, which means longer fights actually favor her. Her second talent adds extra stagger to enemies she interrupts while charging, making her especially annoying for bosses that enjoy long animations. Chen Chanyu might not have flashy elemental tricks, but when it comes to reliable physical pressure, she absolutely pulls her weight. Akakuri is a hybrid heat vanguard with a very clear mission statement: generate skill points and spread heat infliction like it is a public service. Her battle skill exists almost entirely to apply heat infliction, while her combo skill and ultimate are all about restoring skill points. She does not pretend to be a primary damage dealer. She is here to fuel the team and keep the engine running. Her first talent boosts the skill point recovery from her combo, making her even better at feeding resources. The second talent is sneakily powerful. When she uses her ultimate, she grants the link status to the entire team, increasing the damage of the next skill or ultimate used. Akakuri shines in coordinated teams where timing matters, and while she will not top damage charts, she makes everyone else look better doing their job. Estella walks a fine line between physical and cryo gameplay, and she actually enjoys it there. As a hybrid guard, her only true elemental move is her battle skill, a directional dash that deals cryo damage and applies cryo infliction in front of her. It is fast, aggressive, and very satisfying when it connects. Her combo activates when an enemy is affected by solidification, dealing physical damage and lifting them. If the enemy she lifts is the same one that was solidified, she also applies extra physical susceptibility, making follow-up hits hurt even more. Her ultimate leans fully into that setup, lifting physically susceptible enemies higher and slamming them with more physical damage. Talent-wise, she recovers skill points if her skill triggers shatter, and her second talent lets her ignore cryo infliction resistance while granting a 10% cryo damage bonus. Estella fits best in teams that mix physical and cryo operators, and while she needs setup to shine, when everything lines up, she feels incredibly rewarding to play. B tier in Arknights Endfield is not about weakness, it is about conditions. Give these operators the right teammates, the right timing, and maybe a bit of patience, and they will absolutely carry their weight, sometimes while cracking a joke or cooking the enemy mid-fight. The operators in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Administrator, Ember, Lifeng, Arclight, Perlika, Wolfguard, Fluorite, Catcher, Aviwenner, and Zaihi. Somewhere between solid pick and why is this not S tier already lives the A tier. Operators that feel incredible in the right hands and absolutely shape how your team plays. These are the units that reward understanding their kits, syncing timings, and sometimes just pressing the button at the perfect moment. Administrator is the kind of operator that makes physical teams feel complete. As a 6-star physical unit, their kit is clean, direct, and brutally effective. Their skill applies Crush, a physical vulnerability effect that does exactly what it sounds like, makes enemies regret having bones. On top of that, they bring crowd control by binding enemies with originium crystals, which can be applied through either their combo or ultimate, locking targets down and setting them up for punishment. What really pushes Administrator into A tier is how well they enable others. Their first talent boosts their own attack whenever those originium crystals are consumed, while the second talent weakens enemies by increasing all incoming physical damage as long as the crystals remain. Simple, reliable, and devastating when paired with other physical damage dealers. This operator is the backbone of many physical-focused compositions. Ember is a defender who somehow forgot she was supposed to just stand there and block. She deals both physical and heat damage, and while she cannot apply heat infliction by herself, her basic attack chain stacks an impressive amount of stagger. Enemies trying to push through her line quickly realize that Ember is less of a wall and more of a battering ram with wings. Her skill slams the ground in a fan-shaped heat damage attack, knocking enemies down and building even more stagger, especially if she takes damage during the cast. Her combo is a lifesaver, literally. It knocks down attackers and heals the controlled operator based on Ember's will. The ultimate finishes things off with heat damage around her and a team-wide shield that scales with her health. With massive damage reduction while casting and stacking attack buffs whenever she gets hit, Ember thrives in chaos and somehow looks calm doing it. Lifeng is a physical guard who quietly does everything right. His skill is a 2-step combo that either knocks enemies down to help stagger build-up or applies physical susceptibility if the enemy has no vulnerability stacks yet. That flexibility makes him incredibly consistent in fights that are still ramping up. His combo introduces the Link debuff, triggered when an active operator lands a final strike on an enemy affected by physical susceptibility or breach. Link supercharges the next offensive skill or ultimate used by the team, with skills getting the biggest boost. Li Feng's own ultimate consumes Link for massive damage, knocking enemies down in an area while deleting health bars. Add in bonus attacks on knockdown and stat scaling from intellect and will, and Li Feng easily becomes both enabler and finisher. Arknight plays like she drank 3 energy drinks before the mission started. As a physical and electric vanguard, she constantly blinks around the battlefield, syncing her damage with electric infliction and electrification. Her skill normally hits with physical damage, but once enemies are electrified, it chains extra electric attacks and refunds skill points, turning setups into explosions. Her combo activates whenever electrification is applied or consumed, unleashing a flurry of physical slashes while restoring skill points again. The ultimate is a short directional blast that either applies electric infliction or consumes it to force electrification outright. With a team-wide electric damage buff from her first talent and a chance to outright ignore arts inflictions from her second, Arknight feels slippery, fast, and endlessly rewarding. Palika is the face of Enfield for a reason. As an electric caster, her entire job is to make sure electric infliction and electrification are always present on the battlefield. Her skill applies electric infliction in a small area, while her combo temporarily forces electrification whenever the active operator lands a final strike. Then there is the ultimate, a massive electric damage strike from above that feels like orbital judgment. Her talents further cement her role, letting her deal extra damage to staggered enemies and allowing her combo to chain 1 extra time on vulnerable targets. Simple, effective, and endlessly satisfying, Palika is the glue that holds electric teams together. Wolfguard is a heat caster who believes in escalation. His skill stacks heat infliction, but if the enemy is already in combustion or electrification, it instead detonates them with massive heat damage. He thrives in reaction-heavy teams where statuses are constantly being applied and consumed. His combo spreads heat infliction whenever another arts infliction appears, and his ultimate forcibly applies combustion through a chained barrage of heat damage shots. With a permanent heat damage buff after applying combustion and skill point refunds whenever reactions are consumed, Wolfguard fits comfortably as either a primary heat setup unit or a sub-damage dealer who punishes poor positioning. Fluorite brings controlled chaos to nature teams. As a nature caster, she can also exploit cryo infliction through her combo, dealing nature damage while layering additional cryo or nature infliction onto enemies that already have 2 stacks, even mixing them. She rewards teams that love stacking effects and watching numbers spiral. Her skill plants an improvised explosive that slows enemies and detonates later for area nature damage, or immediately if the target dies early. Her ultimate chains 4 hits of nature damage, dealing even more if the enemy was marked by her explosive. With bonus damage against slowed enemies and a chance to gain arts immunity, Fluorite feels deceptively safe while quietly melting targets. Catcher is what happens when a defender decides to be proactive. He grants protection through his skill, reducing damage for himself and nearby allies, while also restoring skill points instantly. His basic attacks naturally deal more stagger, and enemies who hit him while shielded get punished for it. His combo triggers when enemies charge skills or when the active operator's health drops too low, dealing physical damage and shielding nearby allies, prioritizing the active operator. His skill and ultimate also stack physical vulnerability, with the ultimate applying weaken and knocking enemies down in an area. With stacking defense from will and an upgraded shockwave slam, Catcher is a dream support for physical compositions. Aviwenna is speed incarnate. As an electric hybrid striker, she shines brightest when paired with another electric unit that can apply electric infliction for her. Once that condition is met, her combo and ultimate unleash thunder lances that pierce enemies, then snap back to her for bonus return damage. Her ultimate Thunder Lance EX hits especially hard, dealing massive electric damage and applying electric susceptibility thanks to her second talent. Meanwhile, her first talent accelerates ultimate energy gain whenever Thunder Lances hit or return. Fast, aggressive, and stylish, Aviwenna turns electric setups into lightning storms. Zaihi is the calm support presence that keeps teams alive and empowered. As a cryo support operator, she adapts to the situation effortlessly. Her skill summons an orbiting auxiliary crystal around the active operator, triggering on every final strike. If the operator is injured, it heals them. If they are at full health, it boosts arts damage instead. When the crystal expires, her combo detonates it for cryo damage and cryo infliction. Her ultimate grants team-wide cryo or nature damage amplification based on her intellect, and even cleanses cryo effects from allies thanks to her second talent. With extra cryo damage taken applied through her combo, Saihi is a perfect support for cryo and nature damage dealers, especially for operators like Last Right. A tier operators are where Enfield truly starts to feel deep. They are not just strong, they are expressive, rewarding, and powerful when played with intent. Master these and your team stops reacting to the battlefield and starts controlling it. The operators in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Ardelia, Levitain, Last Right, Pogranichnik, Snowshine, and Antol. Now we are officially entering the territory where things stop being strong and start being game-defining. These are the operators that bend encounters around themselves, the ones you build teams for, not with. Welcome to S tier in Arknights Endfield, the top of the food chain. Ardelia, formerly known as Ajafiela, casually walks into Enfield and immediately claims the role of universal problem solver. As a nature support operator, she fits into almost any composition, but she shines brightest in arts-focused teams. Her skill consumes corrosion to apply both physical and art susceptibility at the same time, which is honestly absurd value for one button. Her combo makes sure corrosion is always available when you desperately need it, and her ultimate floods the battlefield with Mr. Dollies that deal consistent nature damage. Her talents push her straight into S tier territory. Her skill can create additional Medollies and the ones from her ultimate drop shadows that restore health to operators who collect them. If the collector is already at full health, that healing smartly redirects to allies who actually need it. On top of that, her second talent allows her skill to chain when multiple corroded enemies are nearby. Ardelia is future-proof, flexible, and borderline unfair, exactly what an S-tier support should be. Levitain is Surt in spirit, soul, and absolutely unhinged damage output. As a Heat Striker DPS, every single part of her kit revolves around one goal, enabling her ultimate and watching everything melt. Her skill summons a magma fragment that deals heat damage and stacks melting flame on her. Once she reaches 4 stacks, she unleashes a bonus attack that applies a large area combustion effect, turning the battlefield into a furnace. Her combo accelerates this entire process by building melting flame faster against enemies already affected by combustion or corrosion. This matters because her ultimate costs a massive 300 energy, but once it is online, her basic attacks transform into a devastating chain of heat infliction and damage. She pairs disgustingly well with Ardelia, absorbing heat infliction through final strikes and ignoring heat resistance at full melting flame stacks. Add her near invulnerability talent when her health drops low, and Levitain becomes both a boss killer and a survival nightmare for enemies. Last Right introduces a brand new archetype to Enfield, and she does it with style. As a cryo arts damage dealer, she brings heavy stagger on basic attacks and excels at stacking cryo infliction quickly. Her skill creates a homing mirage on the next final strike and refunds skill points, while both her skill and combo aggressively build cryo stacks. Once an enemy hits 3 stacks, her combo detonates them with cryo damage, turning setup into payoff instantly. Her ultimate is pure domination. She becomes completely invulnerable and delivers 3 massive cryo art slashes that delete enemies outright. While the energy cost is steep at 240, her combo helps her ramp much faster than expected. Her talents seal the deal by applying cryo susceptibility whenever she consumes arts infliction and boosting her ultimate damage by 50% against cryo susceptible targets. In the right team, Last Right does not fight enemies, she erases them. Pogranichnik, formerly Heliger, trades raw aggression for terrifying efficiency. As a vanguard, he brings unmatched skill point generation while stacking breach-related vulnerabilities that physical damage dealers absolutely love. His skill accelerates skill point recovery, his combo stacks physical vulnerability while refunding even more skill points, and his ultimate summons shield guards that keep pressure on enemies while extending vulnerability uptime. What makes Pogranichnik S tier is how much value he gives to everyone else. His first talent grants him attack and arts intensity buffs whenever he restores enough skill points, turning him into a surprisingly strong sub-damage dealer. His second talent shares part of that buff with allies who trigger his ultimate effects. He is the definition of a force multiplier and arguably the single best enabler for physical focused teams. Snowshine arrives from Kerag and immediately proves why defenders can still dominate the meta. Like all defenders, her basic attacks deal heavy stagger, but her utility goes far beyond that. Her skill provides protection, restores skill points, and retaliates with cryo damage and cryo infliction when she is attacked. Enemies are punished just for trying to play the game. Her combo triggers when the active operator drops below 60% health, delivering a large instant heal and then smaller healing pulses to the entire team. Her ultimate slams down with cryo damage and creates a snow zone that forces solidification on enemies inside. With enhanced healing for low health allies and ultimate energy refunds on successful retaliation, Snowshine is both a defensive anchor and a control monster for physical and arts teams alike. Antol is the ultimate glow-up story. Once a humble 2-star operator, now reborn in Enfield as an electric support who punches way above his rarity. His skill applies focus to a target, making them vulnerable to both electric and heat damage for an extended duration. That alone would be enough to justify his slot. But then his combo detonates electric damage whenever that focused enemy suffers any physical status or arts infliction, turning team coordination into fireworks. His ultimate provides amplified damage for all heat and electric operators, and his talents push even more value by healing buffed teammates when they use skills and granting him physical damage immunity with self-healing. Antal is proof that star count does not define power, impact does. S-tier operators do not just perform well, they define strategies, enable absurd synergies, and stay relevant no matter how the game evolves. If you have access to these units, you are not asking how to win, you are asking how fast. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.